Ladies and gentlemen, we welcome you live to episode number 41 of the Primetime Rundown interview series powered by StreamYard right here on the Eastern Observer and the I-95 Sports Network, Zingo Channel 198. I'm Joey Jarzynka. We cannot thank you enough for joining us here on this Thursday evening. We are joined by 2008 fourth-round draft pick by the Philadelphia Eagles, former NFL safety Quintin Demps. Quintin, how are you today, and how have things been in quarantine for you?
I'm doing amazing today. If we think about today, I'm doing really good. Things in quarantine has just been a disaster, just like I'm sure everybody in the world, man. It's just really been tough to adjust, man, and adapt to something that we didn't even prepare for, really. So, man, but we're getting through it. Like everything is everything, man. Just trying to stay positive and hope for the best.
Yeah, that's perfectly said, especially because people are out of work, and now we're starting to see, especially in professional sports and where you once were in the NFL, cases are beginning to rise and games are not beginning, or they will not be postponed, such as actually tonight in roughly a few minutes. Green Bay, San Francisco, we got a whole bunch of Niners that are testing positive, and who knows? We'll see what happens moving forward. But let's get right into this. For those that are just joining us here for the first time, we are 41 episodes in with numerous football players, numerous hockey players, baseball players, sports executives, and many, many more that we've come in contact with. And Quintin Demps just adds to the list. And we're going to find out who Quintin is just even more than what we used to see in the media guide many, many years ago. So Quintin, let's get things started here. As we brought up earlier, you were a 2008 NFL draft fourth round pick by the Philadelphia Eagles, my favorite team. Pick 117. And let's revert back a little bit to how you got into football. So you were born in San Antonio, Texas. You went to Theodore Roosevelt High School, and you played football, and you also ran track. You graduated in 2003. Now, you obviously had two sports under your belt. One of which being track and field, obviously. Now, what made you go down the football route as opposed to running track?
Hey, I was actually pretty good at basketball too, man. No, but I mean, like track was just like a supplement to football. Like you just ran track to be fast for football.
Yep.
I did. Like I just ran track because it was fun. It's like it's one-on-one competition, like for the most part, or like even the relays are fun. I just did track because I'm an athlete. I mean, it wasn't like I was gonna run like a 9.8. But you know what I mean? I was fast, but I wasn't like blazing. So we just really ran, man, just because it was like part of being a good football player. I didn't think track would ever take off.
Yeah. It's crazy because, again, as a junior and a senior in football, things really took off for you, no pun intended. You led the team, you helped lead the team to a district title. You were named second team All-District 26-5A, which is really cool. And then as a senior, things got even better for you. Your career, your performance continued to progress forward. And as a senior, you were named All Greater San Antonio selection, as well as All State Honorable selection as well. So now, as you are continuing to improve and you're garnering all of these different awards, what are you thinking to yourself that, you can eventually make it somewhere?
Yeah, man, like you said, man, it just kept piling up. Like just different awards, different achievements. And everybody kept saying, man, I should be D1. Matter of fact, I had got in trouble. Quick story. I had got in trouble, man, to where like I had to go see a judge. I think it was a traffic ticket or whatever, and the cop was just being a butthole. And so I ended up spending the night in like a little juvenile center with just me, myself, though. It wasn't anybody else, but it was like a little neighborhood. And I saw the judge, and the judge was like, man, word around the street, man, you should be a D1 athlete right now. Like you should be a D1 athlete, next year after your senior year. And so, man, everybody just saw it. I began to hear from everybody, like, man, you good. Like, you can be something with yourself, like. And so, sure enough, man, I just put my head to the grind and just kept going. And sure enough, I was able to get a scholarship.
It's really amazing just to, and a lot of people say you're at the right place at the right time. In your case, you were in the wrong place at the right time. Which really, again, it's really amazing to say, because who would think that when you're facing a judge for a traffic ticket, that someone says to you that you can really be something?
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, you did get a scholarship, as you alluded to, and you then went to Division I UTEP, also known as University of Texas at El Paso. So talk about how you eventually got to UTEP, but then also, did you get any other offers from anywhere else, or was UTEP the place?
Yeah, man. So it's funny because like where I'm from, man, my mother was 14 when she gave birth to me. Just a little backstory.
Yeah,
She was 14 when she gave birth to me. So like I didn't really grow up with too many father figures in my life, and my dad was never around. So I never knew that, you know, I had to take my SATs early, or like I never been advised to, like, you know, study for the SAT, the ACT early. And so to answer your question, I had like a whole bunch of schools come by, like deep, like Nebraska, Texas A&M, Kentucky, like big schools came by, but it was like, you know, his grades are low and he hasn't even took his SAT yet.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So by the time I realized I had to take the test, like how important the test was, it was like late. And so UTEP was the only D1. Like they were like, we're gonna wait to see if you can pass this test. If you pass this test, we'll give you a scholarship. Because like if I didn't pass the test, then a team would lose a scholarship. So no other school wanted to wait for me to do that, right? They're like, we don't, you know, he's not gonna do it. His GPA is already low, so he probably won't pass. But UTEP was the only D1 that said we'll wait for you to see if you pass. Like we'll risk losing a scholarship for you to see if you pass this test, and then if you pass it, you can come out of school. So if it wasn't for UTEP, man, I'd probably been at a junior college, Kilgore Junior College or something like that. So
yeah,
it's really just about credit to UTEP, man, believing in me, you know, that I would pass that test. But because that was my last draw to get D1, really, to pass that test. They have to wait on me.
Now, if you, let's say, did not pass that test, just hypothetically, if you did not pass that test, then was there a plan B for you of another school to go to? Obviously, as you said just a few seconds ago, that you had the offers, but the asterisk there was that those schools did not want to wait for you. Was there another school besides UTEP that said, okay, we'll wait for you if you can, if you can pass it?
No, UTEP was the only Division I school that decided that was willing to risk losing the scholarship for me to pass the test to see if I pass it or not.
It's really, it's amazing to see and again to say that that people took a risk. They took a chance on you, and obviously it paid off because again, you made it to the NFL. We'll get there in just a second, but during your time at UTEP, you were named co-WAC Freshman of the Year in 2004, which is known as the Western Athletic Conference. You also ranked second in school history with 17 interceptions. You earned first team All Conference USA as a senior in 2007, and in that year, in your senior year, you had 2 100-yard interception returns. Now, with that being said, and getting the awards and being placed into the record book at your alma mater, how good does that feel? And did you say to yourself that we're not done here just because you caught 17 interceptions? There was more to achieve. There was more that you wanted to bite at.
Yeah, man, it's so crazy, man. Like just hearing all those achievements, I definitely get excited, like just looking back at my past and like, man, I was pretty good. I was pretty good, man. So that keeps a smile on my face. Man, honestly, man, I didn't really like. I guess my whole life I always dreamed about being a professional athlete, and it really didn't hit me, man, until like my junior year in college that I could be that. You know what I mean? I was just playing ball just because I loved it, like, and I was pretty good at it. Because I mean, everybody told you like, man, nobody can make it. You can't make it. You can't make it. It's 1 in a million. And so I let that just take, that right there took more root in myself than believing that I could make it. But like I said, like you said, man, like just like all those achievements again begin to show me that, hey, man, agents begin to call me. And so yeah, man, my senior year, I was like, man, I'm hungry. I got more to prove. Like I'm about to get drafted high. I want to put on an NFL helmet. I want to be one of the best to ever play. So it definitely drove me, man, to want some more.
To be able to get that self-esteem, to get that self-confidence, and to get that adrenaline, to be able to keep on going regardless of of the, as you said earlier, the non-father figure. Your mother had given birth to you at 14, and you look around and you say to yourself, you know, there might be other guys on the team, or maybe that you see that have, for instance, normal family, whatever it is. There's never the word normal, but they have a father, a mother, sister, whatever. The point that I'm trying to make here is, oh, I think we might have lost you for a quick second. There we go. We got you back here. The main question to the point that I'm trying to make here is that you didn't have, you had your mother, as you said. Now, when it wasn't, when you could not, let's say, for instance, you did not have it in yourself to say, I can't make this and I'm not going to be able to do it. What really drove you to say to yourself, I'm really going to make this and not go to my plan B?
Honestly, man, just everybody saying I couldn't make it.
Yeah.
And just, you know, that and wanting to provide for my mother, like wanting to like give her a better life, was really, those are the things that really pushed me, man. Just you know, wanting to do for my mother, man. Everybody saying I couldn't do it. Like everybody told me, even coaches at UTEP were like, yeah, he's okay, but he probably won't make it to the NFL, or you know, he can't tackle, so he won't make it to the NFL. So like, just all those naysayers, man, really pushed me to prove, like just having something to prove, you know, really got it out of me.
I love that. And really, again, for a lot of people now during this pandemic, a lot of people are obviously going through numerous issues, whether it be not being able to get up out of their beds because they think that the world is either going to come to an end or this pandemic will never end. We have no idea what the deal is. And for you just got the adrenaline at the time where people told you couldn't do it, and you proved them wrong big time, because just the next year after your senior year, you were drafted by the Philadelphia Eagles. And again, a storied franchise. And your first year, again, being drafted by then general manager Tom Heckert, legendary head coach Andy Reid, and of course the legendary late defensive coordinator Jim Johnson. It's really amazing to say that you got there, Quintin. You got there. You played. Your experience was good. You bounced around to a few teams. We'll get to we'll get to the rest of the teams later on, but to start in Philadelphia and to learn under Jim Johnson, what was it like for you, Quintin, to hear your name, that you were heading to a National Football League franchise?
Yeah, man, as immature as it may sound, I was pissed off I went so late. You know? I was so, because I ran a four, I think it was like two safeties, me and another guy who ran 4.3 at the combine, right?
Yeah.
And so everybody talking about the 40 time, right? Like, dang, man, you ran a 4.3, man. You special. Like, you're gonna go at least first, second round. So I ran a 4.3. I'm thinking, all right, I may go second round. So, and that's back when the draft they had like 2 days, I think. And so I didn't go the first day, man. So I went out, man, and we had drank a lot that night before, and I fell asleep. And so I was asleep, man. So when I got the call, I was asleep. So I didn't wake up. But man, just overall, man, it was one of the best feelings in the world, man. Once I settled down from being in my feelings about not going when I wanted to go. But man, I can't explain it, man. It was like really like, I can't believe this is happening. Like, you mean tomorrow I'm gonna be on a flight to Philadelphia to sign a contract for the Eagles? You know what I'm saying? So it was just hard to believe, hard to grasp, man. But it was one of the best feelings ever, man. You get the phone call like Andy Reid, like, hey man, what are you doing? I've been trying to call you. I'm like, man, I was asleep, coach. He's like, man, well, we're gonna draft you. We're gonna draft you, man, and stuff like that. So it was beautiful. It was a beautiful feeling, man, for real.
Yeah, and as you said too, you know, the feeling is great, and not only that too. At times, you were obviously used mainly as a kick returner, but again, you came out as a safety. And Quintin, that year was the final year of Weapon X in Philadelphia. Now, you're playing with guys like Asante Samuel, and I'll never forget these names. And I think I'm aging myself almost. It's really crazy. And for the people that are watching, especially Eagles fans that are watching now, we play. You guys play. You played with Quintin Michael, Trent
Yeah.
Cole, excuse me, Jaquez Parker, Mike Patterson. I remember
Wow.
watching. Right? Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And not only that, Donovan McNabb as well, just on the opposite side of the football. But going back to Brian Dawkins, and to be able to learn from a pro football Hall of Famer, eventual football Hall of Famer, of course, what was that like for you? And especially, this is something else too that we'll actually ask both questions here. You guys went to the NFC Championship game that year, and unfortunately, you guys fell to the Arizona Cardinals. That was the year that the Cardinals lost to the Steelers, Super Bowl 43. But the whole point is here, you made it in your rookie year. Did you feel spoiled a little bit because you got there so quick, and now you might not get there again?
Yeah, I was like, oh, this is easy, man. Like this is what it's gonna be like every year. I got McNabb with Dawkins, like Westbrook and Sante. Man, we got a squad. Like, man, I'm looking forward to be like this is what it's about. Playoff football, NFC Championship game. We're that close. We'll get back next year and beat that team or whatever.
Yep.
And sure enough, man, went on a drought. So yeah, man, like I definitely got spoiled that first year.
Yeah. And to be able to learn from Brian Dawkins, talk about that. And because again, to be able to learn from a Pro Football Hall of Famer is not many people in this world can say that they learned, a lot about the professional game from not only a professional, but one of the best safeties to ever play the game.
Yeah, I think what I learned from Brian it helped me last 10 years. And it was simple. Take the walkthrough as serious as you do the game. The walkthrough.
Yeah.
That's how you separate yourself. The walkthrough, the attention to the details and the walkthrough. Like nowadays, the walkthrough is just playing around, joking time, right? Brian Dawkins ain't play in the walkthrough. You know what I'm saying? So I took that from him, and that's how I made it. Like that's how I had some of my best games. It's like those little things that I learned in the walkthrough that we probably didn't see in practice, or we probably didn't see. Like all week in practice, we saw him in the game or whatever. Like that little attention to detail helped me prevail, man. 10 years paying attention in the walkthrough. You know what I mean? Like he was locked in the walkthrough. Like it felt like a full speed practice for him. Everybody's like, man, what is he doing? Why is he like that? Everybody chill, B. But he was just so locked in, man, so adamant in the walkthrough. You know what I mean? So just that right there, man, and just being confident and calling the coverages, the checks, like just being that leader back there, that quarterback back there, man. Like watching Brian Dawkins my first year and that first impression of what an NFL safety looks like helped me survive 10 years. Promise you that.
And again, to be able to do that in year number one, and you were playing in you played in all 16 games. You had in that year, you had 16 tackles. Really, you had one tackle for a loss in 2008 at only age 23, which is really amazing. So, to be able to do that. And now the next question would be to be able to do that and to learn not only from Brian Dawkins, but also from the late, great Jim Johnson.
Yeah.
Again, you're learning from multiple greats. You also have Asante Samuel on the team as well, who had won a couple of Super Bowl, or actually had won, at the time, 2 Super Bowls, two with New England. One against the New York Giants, and the other one against the Eagles in 2004. So now you're learning from these guys, and the roster again is just amazing on your side of the ball. But now you're learning from that coach, who at some point we would not be surprised if we see him in the Pro Football Hall of Fame. But talk about what he did for you as a head coach, and the legacy that he left behind when he was not only with the Eagles, but as a coach on this earth.
Man, like Jim gave me confidence, man. Jim kind of made me feel like every D coordinator should believe in their players like he believed in me. Like if we can walk into a defensive meeting and our D coordinator believes in us, like Jim believed in his defensive players, every one of us. It didn't matter if you were a special team guy, like he believed in you. You know what I mean? Like no other. And so, man, just having him like just the way he showed his belief in me, man, was so encouraging. And I remember, man, the last thing he said to me, like one on one, was he's like, because they had let go Brian Dawkins or whatever, and I was named the starter, and I had came off of amazing OTAs, and I on the way out of the meeting one time I saw him, he said don't let up. He said Q, don't let up. You're doing amazing. Don't let up. And showing up, man, that kept me too. Like that propelled me to go 10 years. But just learning from him, man, just on how to be like a coach, how to believe in your players, and how to get the best out of them, man, was very, very encouraging.
Now, a lot of people go through the business side of football, which really, again, it either occurs early, it occurs late, or potentially it may never occur, where you may be shipped out of town, you may be waived, you may be cut, you may be traded. And for you, unfortunately, there was a time when your tenure in Philadelphia was over. And I'm sure that when you came out of the draft, you thought, and just to think that I'm going to be a Philadelphia Eagle. But when you came out of the draft, what was the business side of things? How did that all come about to you once eventually it happened in 2009, early 2010, when you were waived by the Eagles and your time there was up? How difficult did that feel for you? And did you ever prepare yourself for that? Let's say when you were drafted, like, okay, I'm drafted now, but I also have to realize that the honeymoon not only is over, but now we're getting into money, we're getting into business, and this could be short-lived.
Yeah, man. For my first 2 years in the NFL, I didn't even think about that side of the ball. Like I was just in it, man, being cocky, being myself, man, having fun. Like I belong here.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I was just going hard. Like I didn't care about that side. I first got introduced to that side like my second year in the NFL when I got cut, man. I got cut, and they kept three safeties on the roster. It's usually 4, right?
Yep.
They kept 3 on the roster that year, man. And I was just like, this is not fair. How do I get cut? I didn't think I ever get cut. You can't cut me. I run 4.3 and I'm a baller. Like what? And sure enough, man, like I got cut, man. That thing devastated me, bro. Like,
yeah,
it hurt. Every confidence, every cocky bone I had in my body, man, was destroyed. You know what I mean? So, that really woke me up, man, to the business side of the game that year when they kept three safeties, man, and let me go. It was just devastating to me, man, for real.
Yeah, I can't even imagine where again you make the NFC Championship game just a year and a half prior, and then all of a sudden, then they go through a little bit of a change, in 2010 or in just beginning in 2010. And you took a little bit of a different path outside of the NFL for a little bit, and you eventually went to the Hartford Colonials in the United Football League, which is, if I'm not mistaken, I believe that's now defunct. But the Hartford Colonials, you guys played there, or you played there, excuse me, or you signed there, if you will. I don't know if did you ever play a game for them?
Yeah, I played.
Right? Yeah.
I played 2 games.
Yeah, you played 2 games there before you were signed by the Texans just a couple of weeks later. But you take the path outside of the NFL, and you just said before that your confidence went down, the cocky attitude went down, and you eventually had to get yourself back up, Quintin, and you had to get yourself back onto the I can play football as my job and I can do it. But what made you say we're going to go to the UFL?
Money. At the time, I was hurting for. I didn't have a lot of money. I didn't do well. I didn't do well with my money, and I wasn't getting any phone calls from teams. I was just on the street working out for like 8 weeks. And the funny story about that is like the Eagles actually called me back like week 6 or something, right? Well, as soon as I signed my contract to the UFL, the Eagles called me back. I haven't even like unpacked my bags in the hotel yet.
Yeah.
for the Hartford Colonials, right? And the Eagles were like, man, we want you to come back. We got some injuries. We're gonna sign you back, right? But I already signed a contract to the UFL. So they didn't let me out, man. And I was so pissed, man. But I was like, I just took it on the chin and I kept going, man. But that's a funny story. But yeah, man, like I was hurting for money. And so we're like, I gotta do something, maybe. My wife and I like, I gotta do something. We need some bread. So
yeah.
I went down there, man. They were calling me all the time, like, man, come down here, come play with us. And I was like, no, I'm gonna wait. So finally I was like, I'm not gonna wait anymore. I'm just gonna go down here to Connecticut, which wasn't too far from Philadelphia.
Mm-hmm.
And sure enough, I got on that team, which makes some quick money.
Yeah, it's again really, really great to be able to see that you're wanted, regardless of being cut. And now, just again, less than a month, 29 days after you sign this contract, you go to the Houston Texans. Now, we actually spoke with someone that you're probably familiar with in Cecil Shorts. And, we got the feeling when not only from him and for all the viewers that did not watch that interview where, he was hurt as well, where he was traded. He thought he was going to be in Jacksonville for his entire career. And now we're getting your side of the story, Quintin, where you take that route outside of the NFL, but then, as you said, it killed your confidence. It killed your cockiness. But 29 days later, you're back in the NFL. Now, talk about that confidence and that cockiness, if you will. How did it spike up for you? Now you're down in the Lone Star State in Texas.
Honestly, I don't think it's spiked up. I was just like, because I think we had 4 weeks left in the whole season, so I was just happy to be on the roster as far as like money wise. I mean, I still didn't know if I could know what I had to give to the NFL. I just knew that I belonged there, but I didn't know if I was going to be a starter, have a role, whatever. So it was just like me kind of going through the motions at that point. Like, man, I'm just going to collect this check. I'm going to be inactive every week. You know what I mean? I'm just happy to be here. So that year was kind of like, but I mean, like, I was more so just, like relieving that I'm back. It was like more relief that I'm back than, oh yeah, I'm gonna show somebody. It was just like, man, I'm glad to be back. Like I'm humble. Now I'm just glad to be back. The opportunity to, to have the NFL jersey on. You know what I'm saying? I was just grateful at that point. It wasn't even about cockiness, confidence. It's about, man, just being grateful to be here.
Yeah, not many people can say that they've ever donned an NFL jersey other than being a fan, and for you to don the jersey and to put on the pads is really amazing, whether it be in a practice squad setting or even to be able to replace the defensive end Jesse Nading, who was put on injured reserve. You took his roster spot on December 7th, 2010. But then I think that was right before week number 1 of the 2011 season, you were cut, but then you were re-signed by the Texans a month later. So now Houston is starting to play with your emotions now. And, that again, as we brought up before with the business side of things, you get a little cocky. Now you're humble again, but now nothing really elevated in terms of that cockiness. Now you come back into the locker room following another injury, and you play yourself into a multi-year contract. Now that you played yourself into that contract, how great did that feel for you, and what did that do for your confidence?
That felt amazing, because I think just everything prior to that was building my confidence back up. You know what I mean? And so that right there just kind of solidified me to a place where I belong here. Now it's time to be a leader here. You know what I mean? So it's just like you said, it's just stepping stones. Like, and you're doing it really well, man. Good job on your research. So I just kept building up. You know what I mean? So now that I belong here, let's lead here. You know what I mean? So that's what it was. Like, let's take over here now. You prove you belong. Now let's take over. Like, what's the next step?
Now, you bounced around a little bit following your time in Houston, but obviously you had a second stint. You then went back, but you also came actually up here to the tri-state area again, and you're all too familiar with this area, and you signed first actually in 2013 with the Kansas City Chiefs, and then following your time there with the New York Giants. With Kansas City, you were there in 2013. 2014, you had 4 interceptions with the Giants, and then in Houston again with 2015 and 16, and then you were picked up by Chicago, and you signed a 3-year contract. So again, now the money part is, there should be no issue there with the money. You get there, and you're playing you're trying to prove yourself there, and unfortunately you suffer a fractured forearm in only week 3. Now, this is the first time, Quintin, that we've seen an injury from you. And again, now we're playing with injuries. We're not playing with, the business side of things. Now, unfortunately, you have to be put on the injured reserve. You're done for the year. How much did that hurt? Not talking about the injury, just to be able to say, I got there, I got where I'm trying to prove myself, and now the injury bug kicks in.
That was probably the most frustrating part of my whole career. It's like finally getting a big deal, finally getting my name respected as one of the good safeties in the league, having something to prove, and something I can't control happens to where everything is taken away.
Yeah.
That really put me in a state of depression, man. That put me in a bad place. That whole year, you know what I'm saying? Just because you love the game so much, like we put everything we have into this game, is what people don't realize. And like when it doesn't go how we plan it to go, it's like, especially when we can't control it, man. It's just like it feels unfair.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it feels, it doesn't feel right. So that definitely like crushed me, man, to my core.
Yeah, to be able to, or to not be able to, if you will, to get to play the whole year. And again, unfortunately, just the following year, they let you go, and you haven't been in the NFL since. Now, with going back to the whole point of the confidence level, which really would be the whole basis of our conversation here, Quintin. There's so many issues out there, whether it be the pandemic, the unrest in the country and the world, and the confidence isn't there. The money, especially the money, is not there. That the money's not there either, and also the ability to get out there, to work out, to be able to become an aspiring athlete or whatever the case is. How do you tell someone that is an aspiring football player, especially now in college too, say that or let me rephrase that. For those people that are in college right now and are having trouble adjusting with the college life or the college experience not being what it normally is or the new normal, what do you tell them to say you're going to get there eventually? How do you do that, and what would be your advice to those?
Man, that's tough. But I mean, the thing, because I hate being cliche, so I don't want to just say. I wouldn't tell them anything that sounds cliche, man. But I would just encourage them, man, to like feed their mind positive things, man. Like and take advantage of this time that they have to learn something different. To find out more about themselves. Like like really dive into life after football, even though you haven't even got started yet. Just begin, man, to really just figure out who you are, man, and love yourself, man, during this time. Because it's definitely like you said, man, it's uncertain, and it's just. And I feel sorry for the high school seniors, man, especially in Illinois, where we haven't even played a high school football game. You know what I mean? So it's one of those things, man. I don't know what to say, honestly. To be honest with you, I don't know what to say. It's just.
It's very tough, especially out here in or where I am on Long Island. There was at one point there was a decision from the governor's office where they said, all right, well, now it's up to the local governments, and then all of a sudden then it went back up to Albany, and he axed it. So you're right, because especially out here too, And just one state over in New Jersey, they're playing and they're playing at a high level in high school ball, and it's really difficult because those kids that are sitting out, they might not ever be able to play, especially as you said, the high school seniors. They might be going out without ever playing a year on varsity or in the 12th grade, whatever it is.
Right.
It's so tough now. Now I want to go back to more of you, and because we are in these uncertain times. Now let's fast forward to Quintin Demps in 2020, and following 2 years out of the NFL, and we are now in the middle of a pandemic. Now, your thoughts when you first heard this, and what were your thoughts, especially because with your wife now and now post football, what was it that you thought was going on here?
I just thought it was like going to last a couple weeks where we had to just stay in the house for a little bit, let this thing pass on by, and everything will be fine. Me, I'm a football player, so it's like, oh, it'll be fine. It ain't that serious. Like, okay, and then I started seeing people die from it, and like more people die from it. It's like, oh wow. And then things are closed down. Businesses got to close. We got to wear masks everywhere. Like, I mean, I'm baffled like anybody in the world, man. I'm just like, wow, what is going on? What is this? What are we gonna do? I'm we sat in the house for like 2 months, man, like not being able to do anything. So it was just, man, it was, and it's still going on right now. I'm just blown away, man. I've never lived through this kind of stuff, So even for my kids, my children, man, it's like they're going to school online. It's like, wow, like we really in a pandemic, and it's affected everything that we do. Everything that we thought was normal has been changed because of this pandemic that we had no control over. So it just really put us in a place, man, of having gratitude every day, man. Like being able to wake up in the morning and just be thankful that we're still here. We got loved ones that's still here. It's just really put that on the forefront, man. It's just stay in today. I mean, we don't know what tomorrow, we don't know when things are going to open, but all we have is today with each other. So let's take advantage of it, man, and try to be positive. Do the best we can. You know what I'm saying? It's just weird, man. It's just,
Yeah, and the unknown, as you said, is really is frightening for many, not only for children too, but also for us adults. Where again, as you said, we've all never lived through this. This is something that every single person on this earth has never lived through, because 1919, when the first pandemic hit on record, no one is really, I don't think anyone's alive from there. So this is all brand new territory. Now, we'll rewind a little bit here, and going back to when you signed that multi-year deal in Chicago, and then following the 2017 season, you played your last snap just before you fractured your forearm. That ended your playing career. Now, following the 2018 season, or following the 2017 season, rather, did you say to yourself that you were ready to continue to play? What was your mindset to be able to come back to the NFL? Was it there? Did you say, we're done here? What was going through your mind?
Man, it was a lot going through my mind, because I actually had according to the surgery, like, because I had the surgery went bad too, so I ended up having nerve damage in my hand, and so I didn't think I'd be able to play again, and sure enough, I got I couldn't play again.
Yeah.
But just when they first cut me, it was like, oh, somebody will pick me up. Like I wasn't really worried about it. I knew people who, because now it's about that time. It's year 11. I got plenty of contacts in the NFL. All I gotta do is get into a training camp, and I make the team. But so I wasn't really worried about it as I was back, prior in my early years. But it was more so about me performing now with this injury, like the nerve damage and stuff like that. So I was worried about, like, man, maybe this is my last year. Maybe I'm done. You know what I mean? So I dealt with that whole time. That whole process was kind of nerve wracking within myself, man. Like, when can I play again? Type of stuff.
It's It's really tough to be able to. Now, when you came to terms with the fact that it was over for you, and now coming full circle in terms of your career, your football life, what was post playing career Quintin Demps thinking? Were you thinking maybe you can go into coaching? Maybe you can be an executive. Maybe you could be a coach. What went through your mind following that 2017 season?
Well, like even that whole year while I was on injured reserve, I still went into meetings and stuff like that. But in that time, I was planning on, like, I was studying to be a scout. Like, I don't want to tell my teammates, but I wasn't paying attention to the pre. I mean, to the install. I was in there, researching, how to be an NFL scout and stuff like that. So I thought about doing that, man. I thought about, just really pursuing my passion of music. And it's crazy because here I am, like 2.5 years out, and I still don't know what I'm going to do. Like, this is the thing. This is what we deal with as NFL players, man. Is like, when we're done with the game, man, like, it's just, if we haven't prepared for this mentally as a person, like, it's a whirlwind, man. It's difficult. Like, it's like you can do so many different things, but what are you like? It's just like it's hard to explain, But I'm still in this place of, I don't know what I'm gonna do. Like, I don't know. I thought about, like, even like this last 2 months, I went around a couple of schools to see if I can get hired for coaching. Nobody wants to hire me for coaching. Like, I don't know if it's COVID, but like, so it's just like, I don't know, man. It's definitely tough when you retire, man, to figure things out, and it takes time. It takes patience. It takes perseverance, and nothing is shit for me yet. But I'm gonna keep pressing, until I figure out what's next.
Keep striving for greatness, the Mamba mentality, all of the above. Because again, for not only for you, Quintin, but for many others, and you brought up, how it could be COVID, it could be, maybe you're not doing something right. I can attest to that, because there are so many people out there that are, and even organizations, schools, whatever the case may be. They're looking to subtract, and unfortunately, because of money, we are in such a devastating time where it's so tough. But as you said, though, and you said those words perfectly, and for all of those that are watching out there, aspiring athletes, broadcasters, journalists, whatever it may be, or maybe even aspiring bodybuilders, or whatever it is that want to work out and want to be bigger or whatever. It's not going to happen overnight. You have to make sure that you just, as Quintin said, keep on pressing. You'll eventually get there. Now, I have to ask you this. Now, before football, and when you were at UTEP, if, let's say, for instance, football never occurred for you, what was your plan B?
Music.
Yeah. Now,
I almost left UTEP to pursue my music career. I definitely have a passion and love for music.
And what would be the preferred genre?
I wouldn't put myself in a box. I mean, me performing wise, I definitely wouldn't put myself in a box as far as genres. But because I see music as, like, universal. So the whole thing would be like, to not me just being an artist, but me having a record label, signing different people who a country musician, or like it's whatever. Like, if you're talented, you're talented, So, I mean, just me personally, I would do hip hop for sure, but because I'm not gifted with country and stuff like that. But I would sign people who did all kind of genres. Like, I wouldn't just put myself in a hip hop box as far as, like, signing other artists and developing them. So that to answer your question, I would say music.
Music, yeah, that's really, really amazing. To be able to, again, pursue that. And have you ever thought about going back down that route, especially because we're seeing numerous artists come out with record labels, multiple songs, and they're getting compensated for it. They're getting recognized out there, and especially with a name like yours that is very noticeable to many football fans. What makes you think that a music career might not work for you? I think it might. Who knows? What are your thoughts on that, Quintin?
I've tried it, man, and I'm still trying. It's just hard, man. It's
Yeah.
like the NFL again. You know what I mean? I don't
Yeah.
know if I have that grind, you know, and
Yeah.
that's what the world is telling me. That's what life is telling me is that I gotta maintain that grind for the rest of my life. Like you can't take. I mean, you gotta do that. You gotta have that sacrifice, that discipline, whatever you want to be successful in. If you want to be a bodybuilder, you want to be big or whatever, you gotta have that kind of grind, man. And so I'm trying to break into the music industry without that grind. And it's like, nah, that's not gonna happen. You gotta go. Now you gotta even go harder because the music is even more, you know what I mean, of a business and cutthroat. So it's just like, man, it's tough, you know.
Yeah.
So I'm
Yeah.
like, man, let me go coach. That's easier, you know what I'm saying? So
Yeah, and not only that too, allowing a or even hiring rather a former NFL player, you would think that would be I don't know, in the bag hire because you're bringing an NFL playbook into high school that's really amazing, and you can be a leader that not only you are a leader, but now you're showing and you're giving back to the kids there, which really is would be an amazing thing, and I'm sure that it will happen for you one of these days. There's no doubt about it. And again, for everyone out there, that includes you, Quintin. Will just hold on, and you'll get there in due time. There's no doubt about it. The big man upstairs, God, has a plan for all of us, as numerous people say. So that would definitely be pretty cool thing. Now, to conclude our little conversation here, you look at something that we look at something that you mentioned earlier about your mom raising you, not really having that father figure, and having you at 14 years old. Your biggest inspiration in life to help you achieve your goals. Who would that be? I think I answered the question, but is it your mom is the one that would be your biggest inspiration, or is there somebody else out there that you'd like to tell us who was your biggest inspiration to eventually get to the NFL?
I mean, the cliche answer would be my mother. I mean, not cliche because that's a real answer.
Yeah.
She was definitely my inspiration. But as I look back, man, it's the man in the mirror was my biggest inspiration. You know what I'm saying? Like just proving it to that guy. Like I was always like, I got to prove it to myself that I can start in the NFL, or that I can, you know what I mean, reach my goals. Like I got to prove it to him. Like everybody else, they matter, but like do it for you. Like show yourself how much you want your grind to work for you. You know how much you're not eating any bad food for 6 months. Like how you want that to pay off. Like you got to show yourself. Like inspire yourself. So like my mother was definitely an inspiration, but man, at the end of the day, man, I was my own like inspiration. You know what I mean? Like it was something within me. The fire burned within myself to keep me inspired, honestly.
And with the final two questions, we actually got one viewer question in here from YouTube. One question this person asks is actually anonymous, but asked what your typical game day routine was when you were in the NFL. So if you'd like to answer that, that would be you're
Yeah,
on the clock, if you will. What would be or I guess
yeah,
what was your typical game day routine?
yeah. So game days at Sunday at about 12 o'clock. Right, about noon, 1 o'clock Eastern time. So I would get up in the morning, take me a shower, um, and meditate. I would meditate, and I would get on a phone call with like a life coach or like somebody, an inspirer, right? And we would speak these mantras out loud. You know, she would ask me like, "What's your motivation for the day? What's your intention for the day?" And I would tell her that, and she would advise me to keep saying it till it meant like I'm the best in the league. I'm the best in the league. So I would do that every morning before the game, and then I would get fly, man. I put some good music on, put some Future on in my hotel, whatever I liked at the time. Get real fly, man. Get real confident, you know. Then get to the facility, and then man, just get dressed, go through my routine with my stretches, my weightlifting, my abs, just whatever I did as far as that. But the main thing was at the hotel was getting ready every morning, man, speaking the mantras that morning out loud repeatedly, and really getting my brain and my mind ready for performance in a couple hours. That's what I would like to share about my routine, was that how important the mantras were on game day.
Yeah, and to really settle in as well, and to get everything off of your mind is really another challenge too, to be able to really get everything out of your mind, and to have that game day motivation and that game day mind too, to be able to tune out the noise,
Yeah,
and especially to be able to play in front of thousands and thousands of fans. And when we say thousands, we mean like 60, 70, 80,000 fans in certain buildings. Now, the last question that we got is actually from my cousin here. that's very, very close to home. But my cousin asks you this: playing in front of 60 to 70,000 fans, what was that feeling like for you? Exactly verbatim. Yeah. What was that feeling like for you, playing in front of all those fans?
and it's funny you asked that, because right now it's no fans in the stadium.
Yeah.
And for safety, we need the fans. Like, it's for a defensive player, man, the fans are everything. And that feeling, man, is indescribable, especially in the playoffs. When the stadium is rocking on third down, fans have got so much energy, man. I know my brothers in the league right now are missing, especially on the defensive side of the ball. They are missing the fans, man. Like, the fans are one of the most important aspects of the game. And like, just having that crowd behind you on that 3rd and 7, man, getting that offense rattled, ready to go. That's the adrenaline I've been chasing since I retired, man. Honestly, like, that adrenaline right there, man, is priceless. Seriously.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So to conclude our conversation, and we can thank our viewers out there. Really appreciate you asking those questions, because always fan interaction and human interaction, especially now, is really dire during these times. Now, my last question to you would be, during these times, again, there were so many things that you could have done, which was, sit around the house, do nothing, or work on some home projects, or quality family time, TV shows, Netflix, Hulu, Disney Plus, whatever the case was, Quintin. And what has it been like for you with your family? What have you done? Were there any new hobbies that you've taken up, or certain family time, quality family time that you normally wouldn't get when the world is turning?
Yeah, I learned how to be a teacher.
Yeah.
I gotta teach my kids school. I got just being with them through the Zoom classes. That's something new that I picked up, man. But just like I retired, man, I've been working on myself, man. Just reading books, drawing, man, researching new things, learning about new stuff, and just things like that, man. Keeping busy, keeping my mind busy with growing, man. I always wanted to grow, in every area of my life. So that's kind of what I've been doing, man.
Yeah, that's really amazing. And I hope not only myself, but I know all the people out there that have been watching really hope that you get to where you want to get to, especially in your post-football career, whether it be coaching, teaching, or your music career, or whatever it may be. We do hope that you eventually get there, and I know for a fact you will. I sense that in our pre-camera chats over text, and Quintin Demps, ladies and gentlemen. Quintin, I really appreciate you coming on and telling your story. Is really an amazing one, and we really appreciate it.
Man, thank you for having me, man. Seriously, I appreciate it. I'm glad it all worked out too, man.
Absolutely. Yes. And just before you go, we want to let everyone know next Thursday night, right here on the Eastern Observer and the I-95 Sports Network, we will be welcoming the Toronto Blue Jays radio voice, Ben Wagner, to the show. He'll be coming on. That will be episode number 42, Thursday, November 12th at 8 p.m. right here on the Eastern Observer. Also, tomorrow night is our main podcast. I'll be hosting that, of course, the Primetime Rundown, powered by StreamYard, right here at 6 p.m. on the Eastern Observer and the I-95 Sports Network. Ladies and gentlemen, for Quintin Demps, I'm Joey Jarzynka, and for all of us at the Blackjack Media Group, we'll see you next time.
Thank you, man. Appreciate it. Thank you.